Hey everybody, this is dimach, and this is my first kill captain instructional video. In this video I'm going to be going over the new Cataclysm talents, and I'll also be going over my current discipline PvP spec. In the first tier discipline tree, you have improved power word shield. This talent hasn't really changed. Only thing that has changed about it has been moved to the first tier, which makes it a must to get. The next talent is Twin Disciplines. This talent increases your shadow and holy spell damage and healing done by 6%. In Lich King you really couldn't find the talent points to put enough points into this, but now in Cataclysm, now that the tree is more condensed, you're able to put 3 points in, which is very beneficial. The last talent in the first tier is Mental Agility. When maxed out, this reduces the mana cost of your instant cast spells by 10%. This talent is really based off if you can conserve your mana well enough, or if you're going with full haste set. In the new talent tree, Improved Inner Fire has been replaced by Inner Sanctum. This talent reduces the spell damage taken by 6%, and also increases the movement speed of your inner will by 6%. This talent becomes very useful when you're versing spell thieves, or if you're in a situation where you're needing away from someone. Soul Warding is another obvious one, hasn't changed much since the last patch. Evangelism is one of the new talents of Cataclysm. On rank 2 Evangelism, you have a 100% chance when you smite to gain a stack of Evangelism. Each time you gain a stack of this, it increases your damage done by your smite, holy fire, and penance spells by 4%, and reduces the mana cost of those spells by 6%. While doing massive DPS, it is a good idea to keep this stack up. If you're very healing intensive at the moment, you might want to release the energy and get Archangel. When Archangel consumes your Evangelism effects, it instantly restores 3% of your total mana and increases your healing done by 3% for each stack. This is a very efficient way to keep up your mana since you're blowing most of your mana on dispels and bubbles. The Renewed Hope talent is extremely important as a Disc Priest. This talent pretty much increases all your healing spells critical chance by 10% on any afflicted target by Weakened Soul or Grace effect. Power Infusion is pretty self-explanatory as it hasn't changed much. Due to the nerf of Atonement from 150% healing to 100%, it really doesn't seem that useful to be talented into at the moment, so I didn't. Although Inner Focus is on a 45-second cooldown, which is really short, increasing critical strike effect chance by 25% on your flash heal, greater heal, or prayer healing is really not that beneficial for a point. A lot of priests like to use Reflective Shield, but I really find it useless to put 2 points into it. Borrowed Time had its haste reduced down from 25% to 14%, but still is viable to get 2 points in. I find Rapture to be very useful, especially when you're because mostly when you're versing a Shaman or Priest team, they usually dispel your bubble, and you get most of your mana back. The talent that branches off of Renewed Hope is called Strength of Soul. I found this talent to be very useless, because it requires you to use Heal, which is a very long cast time, and doesn't heal for that much. Divine Aegis hasn't changed that much since the last patch. It's very useful as well, and also we require 3 out of 3 to get to our main ability. Pain Suppress is pretty self-explanatory and it hasn't changed at all. Train of Thought is a new talent in Cataclysm. Along the lines, it's mainly just for PvE. I really didn't find it useful in PvP when I was testing it. Grace hasn't changed at all. I usually put these 2 points when I'm using my haste set into the Shadow Fiend and Shadow spec. This is so I can keep my mana up when I'm using my haste spec. Focus Will is just more damage reduction. It helps out a lot when you're versing heavy DPS targets like warriors. The main ability of Discipline is Powered Barrier. When you use this ability, it summons a holy barrier in a location that absorbs an amount of damage depending on your mastery points. The barrier itself absorbs 40,000 plus damage, but for each player it only absorbs around 8,000 damage. This also makes it so you don't get pushbacks on your spellcasting as well. Since there's so many other talents, I'm only going to show you the ones that I off-spec'd into. The tooltip for the Divine Fury talent has not changed, but it has been reduced to 3 out of 3 and is now in tier 1. I find this useful in my haste spec because I find myself DPSing a lot more than healing. Moving over to the Shadow tree, I was able to grab 2 last points in Veiled Shadows. This talent plays a huge part in my haste spec because it reduces the cooldown on my Shadow Fiend ability by 2 minutes. Opposed to the 5-minute cooldown, now having a 3-minute cooldown on my Shadow Fiend allows me to gain more mana throughout the entire fight. If you have any questions, send me a message or message me on dimach LOL of Illidan. I hope this video has given you some insight on the new talents for Cataclysm, and have fun pwning some noobs, guys. See you later.